The John Titor Mystery, the Internet's most famous time traveler. In the year 2000, the Internet was still the Wild West. No social media algorithms, no influencers, just message boards, chat rooms, and anonymous usernames. And then one of those usernames claimed to be a time traveler. His name was John Titor, and according to him, he was a soldier from the year 2036. The first posts. The story begins in November of 2000 on the Coast to Coast AM message boards, a radio show famous for covering UFOs, conspiracies, and the paranormal. A user calling himself Time Travel Daro began answering questions about the future. At first, people assumed it was just another role player, but then the answers became detailed, specific, technical. In January 2001, he introduced himself by name, John Titor. He claimed he was an American military time traveler stationed in Tampa, Florida in the year 2036. His mission? To travel back to 1975 and retrieve an IBM 5100 computer. Why? Because in his future, legacy computer systems would fail in 2038 due to a hidden flaw. And the IBM 5100 supposedly had a unique ability to debug old mainframe code. Interestingly, the IBM 5100 did have obscure engineering features not widely discussed online at the time, which made some people pause. How would a random forum poster know that? The time machine Titor didn't just talk. He posted diagrams, schematics, explanations. He claimed his time machine was a C204 gravity distortion time displacement unit, manufactured by General Electric in 2034. According to him, it was mounted in the back of a 1967 Chevy Corvette. The machine allegedly used dual-rotating microsingularities, tiny black holes, to bend space-time. He described Kerr black holes, gravity distortion fields, and event horizons in surprising detail for an internet forum in 2001. To some readers, it sounded like science fiction. To others, it sounded just plausible enough. The dark predictions. But what truly captured attention were his warnings. John Titor claimed the United States was heading towards civil war. He said unrest would begin in 2004, escalate over time, and by 2008 the country would be fractured. He described political division turning violent, states splitting apart, federal authority collapsing. Then, in 2015, he said World War III would erupt, involving Russia, China, Europe, and the United States. The result? Nuclear war. He claimed 3 billion people would die. Major U.S. cities would be destroyed. In his version of 2036, America was smaller, rural, and community-based. Technology existed, but society had been reset by catastrophe. Chilling. But there was one thing about his predictions. They didn't happen. At least, not the way he described. The timeline defense. When users began questioning inconsistencies, Titor had an answer. He said time travel created alternate world lines. In other words, his timeline wasn't necessarily ours. Every time someone traveled backward, reality shifted slightly. He even claimed our world might differ from his by 1 or 2%. Convenient? Maybe, but it allowed him to explain away prediction errors while keeping the mystery alive. His sudden disappearance. In March of 2001, John Titor announced he would be returning to 2036. He thanked everyone for their questions. He left a few final cryptic warnings, and then he was gone. No more posts, no dramatic reveal, just silence. The investigation years later, journalists and internet sleuths began digging. The trail eventually led to a Florida attorney named Larry Haber. Haber claimed to represent the Titor family and managed a website preserving the posts. Investigators also identified a possible connection to Larry's brother, John Haber, a computer expert. No definitive proof ever surfaced, but many concluded it was likely an elaborate hoax created by one or more individuals with technical knowledge and storytelling skill. Still, not everyone was convinced. The IBM 5100 detail. One of the strongest points in Titor's favor involved the IBM 5100. He claimed it had the ability to emulate IBM mainframe systems, a feature that wasn't widely known publicly at the time. Later, IBM engineers confirmed that yes, the 5100 had a hidden capability, allowing it to debug certain systems. Skeptics argue that this information existed in obscure technical communities. Believers argue it was too specific to be coincidence. That single detail continues to fuel debate. Cultural impact over time, John Titor became more than a forum legend. His story inspired books, documentaries, and even Japanese media, including the visual novel and anime Steins Gate, which features a character inspired by the Titor mythos. He became one of the earliest viral internet mysteries. Before creepypasta, before ARGs were mainstream, before social media amplified everything, John Titor may have been one of the first great digital legends. Hoax? Or prototype of something bigger? Let's step back. If John Titor was a hoax, it was an impressive one. It required knowledge of theoretical physics, technical computer history, long-term consistency, and the discipline to disappear permanently. No monetization, no book deal at the time, no revealed identity-seeking fame. That's unusual. Most hoaxes eventually unravel because someone wants credit, but in this case, silence. The psychological angle. Why did people believe him? Because 2000 was a strange time. The world had just survived Y2K fears. The internet felt experimental and mysterious. And Titor's warnings tapped into real anxieties: political division, technological fragility, nuclear tension. In hindsight, some of his themes, polarization, distrust in institutions, feel eerily familiar, even if the dates were wrong. So, who was he? A creative writer? A team of storytellers? An early alternate reality game? Or simply the right mystery at the perfect moment in internet history? We may never know, and maybe that's why the legend persists. Final thought. John Titor promised he would return someday. He hasn't. But his story remains one of the internet's greatest unsolved mysteries, a reminder of how easily the digital world can blur the line between science fiction and belief. Was he a hoaxer ahead of his time? Or a traveler from a world just slightly different than ours? You decide. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into internet mysteries, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know which legend you want to explore next.